Yeah, so this basically started off as my high school internship when I was going to Noblesville High School. And basically I had been autocrossing Resto Mod Nova for a while, and that kind of got slow and boring. So eventually I was like, hey Dad, let's build a race car. And he wanted a Trans Am, so we put the two together and we came up with this thing. So originally we were going to start it off as like a 6-month project, basically a budget of 30 grand, and just kind of make a track beater. And eventually I started posting stuff on Instagram, and it got more and more traction. And then we got our first sponsor, Vibrant Performance, and all went from there. So it's been a really crazy 2.5 long year build where every day we've worked on it. It's been super, super intense, 8 to 24-hour days. So basically, looking behind us, we have a 90-inch wide front aero. We have front wing sections and a front splitter. And basically, if we come to the hood, you can see a kind of dual radiator setup where basically it comes in through this front grille and it comes through the radiator, and then it can exit up here. And we worked with Varus Engineering to do some CFD testing and do some analysis, and they assured us that the radiator sizing was correct. And one of the big concerns, if you see behind us, there's a roof scoop, and that feeds the engine. One of the big concerns for me was seeing whether or not the hot radiator air would go into the scoop, and they say it's going to go wrap around the side. So they helped us reassure that, and they also saw that our aero balance at first wasn't quite correct. So then we developed this new front end aero kit to fix the aero balance. So we're also going to currently work with them on potentially developing a blown diffuser for this car, since we're running a pretty complicated Motec system that we can really tune and log whatever we want. So obviously this is our interior for the car. We're running the Sparco Circuit 2 carbon seats. They're the tallest ones they offer for me to fit. I'm a pretty tall guy. That's also part of the reason why we use the Pontiac, is because it's super wide and it's tall for someone like me to fit in. So basically this is a good situation to talk about our interior. So this is our custom wheel. It just slides on and off. We're using an SBA coupler. This is a custom machined housing that I designed, and it houses a CAN bus board, because all these buttons and everything go through 4 wires through the steering column. And this is how we adjust our torque control or traction control. This is our torque control right here. And then this is our power steering. We have signals because this car is street legal, it's registered and everything. You'll see the license plate here probably soon. This is how we change the page on our massive dash. And then this is on one of the pages of the dash is how we change some of the menu items to see different lines of data. So this is obviously our wheel, and it's also paddle shift because it's pneumatically actuated on our 6-speed sequential gearbox from Extract. And we're using a Motec pneumatic actuator, so there's an air compressor air bottle in the back. So the way this whole system works is that we start with the scoop, and that scoop actually feeds the engine. And we go from the scoop to a dual kind of inlet. It separates out to 4-inch inlets, and then it goes down to 2 G35-900 Garrett turbos. And then that goes through the interior with the charge tubes. And we have an LME, late model engines, they're low profile intake, turned 180 degrees backwards, and dual throttle body inputs. And then that goes through our late model engines, 400 cubic inch, high RPM, it goes 9,000 plus RPM, D-stroked motor. The block is from Concept Performance, the heads are from Brodex, and the cam is a custom grind from late model engines. It's all the best stuff you can buy internally. And we've taken this car up to 9,200 RPM on occasions. And so we go from our engine to custom made headers using Vibrant 304 stainless. And that exhaust goes through the middle of the car, and then it's all flat bottom on the car, and it's got skid plates and everything. But then we go back to the turbos, and then we blow into the diffuser, and that's where the exhaust dumps. So some people think this car's electric because they can't find the engine and they can't find the exhaust, and they see a roof scoop up top. But we assure you it's a fire-breathing LS. So obviously the front aero is insane, so you have to have the rear aero to match. And this is our 84-inch wide rear wing, and it's super, super strong. It's insane. We could put 3 or 4 people up here and jump and be fun. And then if we get low, you can see our insane diffuser, and it's just one of those crazy concepts we dreamed up. So we have a front tunnel section where the exhaust dumps into, and then we just basically extended it further all the way out to here. So it's about a third of the length of the car is dedicated to this underwing diffuser. Obviously, you'll probably see this and wonder what this cone is for. It's for air jacks. So this car has 4 air jacks, and our pit cart, basically we just plug it in and lift the whole car up, and then we have also an air jack wand, so we can regulate how slow or how fast it goes up. So we could drop the car if we want, or we can just settle it down really slow. And then this is our tow hook in the back, and obviously the license plate I was talking about, because we could technically drive it on the street if we want. And the only thing that's showing off what this car originally is the Pontiac emblem. Which a lot of people are like, what car is this? And some people get close saying it's a GTO, but it's a Pontiac Trans Am, at least what's left of it. All right, so now we have the hood off and you can kind of see what's all going on here. We pushed the engine back 28 inches from original position, so it lives right underneath the dash. And this has a 7-stage Daly's dry sump on it, and it goes to our oil tank right there. And basically, I'm going to explain how the suspension generally works. So this is a double wishbone push rod suspension off of a, I think, 2002 Reynard Champ car. And so we have Öhlins TT44 shocks, and then we have a heave spring right here. So generally, the way that this suspension works is I'll explain it without the heave spring. So imagine you don't have any of this right here, and you have just the shocks, the rocker, and the push rod. So let's say this car is going 200 miles per hour and producing 4,000 pounds of downforce. You're going to need to give it enough spring so it doesn't bottom out. And then that is all going to be taken up in the shocks. So then when you get to a low speed corner, it's going to be sacrificed, since you don't have quite the soft springs, because you need softer springs going through lower speed corners. So what this heave spring allows you to do is you add that on, and as both shocks are compressing, it's going to start compressing that heave spring. And by doing that, it starts taking up some of the load from the shocks, so you can run lighter spring rate shocks, springs, and then you don't have to sacrifice the low speed corners. It will allow you to be more nimble in the corners. Then we have a 3-to-1 heat exchanger. So basically we have engine oil, engine water, and gearbox oil going through it, all to equalize the temperatures. So it comes in really handy in other places. So let's say we're sitting there warming up the car before an event because we have a race engine and we don't want to hurt the gearbox as well. By sitting there warming up the engine, you're warming up the gearbox oil as well, which is super, super handy. And then let's say you're in a race situation, the engine's starting to overheat, it will start to try to equalize the temperature between the gearbox oil and the engine oil. So it's a great equalization thing, and basically all the cooling comes down to these radiators at the end of the day. If you want to check this car out or follow it, basically you can find us on Instagram at Horizon_Motorsports_LLC. We also have a YouTube, but basically if you go to our Instagram, you'll find links to everything.